tennis together.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Nunda Township Board meeting this evening, Thursday, May 11th. Meeting is called to order. Please rise for the pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You can ask you to bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gorgeous day where the sun is shining and there's no rain. I ask that you pour out your blessings over this board, Lord, as they are approaching their oath day. Just pour out your blessings over all of them, and I ask that you fill them with your ethics and give them your wisdom, God. And we ask that you pour out your blessings over our two trustees that will be stepping down as well, Mike and Bill. Sorry, my brain went blank there for a second. God, just thank you for all you've done these last 4 years, and we ask that you see through the next 4. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen.
Shorten.
Here.
Dvorak.
Here.
Holtz. Minus and Jennings.
Here. Thank you. Number 5 on our agenda is the review and approval of the minutes.
Point of order, Mr. Supervisor.
Yes.
Normally at this point in the agenda, we have public comment for anyone that wants to speak relative to agenda matters. And I don't see that here, so I don't know if we...
It was an oversight.
Sure.
I'm okay with public comment. Is there anyone that would like to comment on agenda items?
My name is Cynthia White. Just some things I'd like to bring up regarding the agenda items. Maybe they can be answered as they go through them. I'm not sure how this works, but number 6, when you approve the minutes, there's no minutes. I realize you're approving them, but could there be preliminary minutes here for us that were at the last meeting to understand?
We could do that. I won't post them until they're approved.
I get that, but could they be preliminary back there so we could read them before the meeting or something?
Sure.
Okay. Number 8, when you're approving the warrants and stuff, is that when you go through bidding processes and stuff like that?
No.
Anything that's approved for bid, is that ever brought up before the public? Or is that done behind the doors?
The bid is done during a bidding hearing.
Okay.
Bidding process.
And are those hearings open to the
And
public?
they're posted.
Bid opening, the opening is what you're at. She's asking about the bid
Correct,
opening.
right.
Yeah, yes, and it's open to the public.
It is. And where are those posted that you would know when and where they are?
Generally, in terms of that, they're published in the newspaper.
So that part that's published will say when the opening is going to be and where it's going to be? Okay, thank you.
That's actually something that's done by the road district. The township itself, we really never had to.
But they are posted, they're public, and it's in the newspaper.
Thank you. Number 12, the Transparency Act. I did notice that the financials for April were on the website. Were those put on after the meeting, before?
Those were put on after.
After the meeting?
It's for this meeting, so those are the financials that.
They're under April, agenda and financials, so those would be the financials you're going to review tonight?
Yes.
Okay. And 13, Cemetery Board Treasurer. I see that you're appointing one, but the last 2 meetings I attended had 2 different lawyers, and there were 2 different opinions on appointing.
We have a written legal opinion.
Okay,
All
thank
of our
you.
board members.
Okay. 15, new business. I'm curious if you have an organizational chart within the township that lets you know who reports to who has ultimate authority over someone, anything like that?
Well, no.
No?
You can certainly do something like that.
Yeah, like,
What about like the township official handbook?
Handbook.
A handbook.
Well, certainly, the assessor has no control over his employees. I over mine, the road commissioner over his. The only chart of accounts that, where you might be looking for something that would show something different than that would be at the road district where they might have foremen and crew chiefs.
so like if you were new to this process and you wanted to know, for example, what do the trustees oversee compared to what decisions you can make to compare to them? Who does the clerk report to? All that kind of stuff. Where would you find that
Well, we're
information?
each elected officials,
Right?
so it's really, we don't report to each other.
Cindy, all that is governed by state statute.
Uh-huh.
Ansel Blank has a guide that's available on the Township Officials of Illinois website, $27.
Okay.
But it gives a good overview of statutes. Sometimes I found I need to jump onto the state site just to get further clarification, but it's a really good guide that Ansel Blank has put together.
There's a condensed version that's kind of what's my job.
Okay, great.
I do have one of those, I don't have here this evening.
The county issues a booklet with all of it,
Okay.
all of the townships, all of the names and so on. It would be wise to get a booklet.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Free.
It's been on TOI's website as well. Yeah. And there's a new edition, I think, coming out in 2017.
Yeah,
So
yeah, after
if
the
you were going to
election.
order one, you'd get the old one, and the new one should come out this year.
Okay, perfect. That's it.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, on to number 5. The review and approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting dated Thursday, December, we don't have the date on it. 8th, 2016, to correct scrivener's error. Can I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
I'll second.
We've got the new ones with the mistake. That was me.
Okay. Is there any questions or concerns about that error or any other content in there? Angela, are you satisfied?
All of the numbers were mixed up, so I wanted to make sure those two files unfortunately were combined, and I wanted to make sure this was done correctly before I step down, so.
And so you're satisfied? No comments, could I have, I guess we don't need to call out, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 6 is the review and approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting
11.
dated Tuesday, April 11, 2017. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Second? Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns there?
I have two versions in front of me. One was in my packet, and a second version.
Go by the second.
This one,
The Halloween-y looking writing.
Halloween
Yes.
looking one. Okay. Is there
The
a
other
difference
one,
between these?
yeah, the other one said Thursday. The April minutes were
Oh.
Tuesday.
Okay,
No, okay.
got it.
I was wondering too.
All right.
That's the only big difference?
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions or concerns here? None? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you. Motion carries. Number 7, the township warrants for approval for payment this evening in the amount of $44,144.10. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Aaron, second. Any questions, comments, or concerns here?
Just a question on the legal bill. I thought we had a flat rate for meetings, is that the 760? Or am I mistaken?
That was the annual town meeting,
Right.
which took quite a bit longer.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
In general, we,
Two together.
our general agreement with Scott is that we do have a flat rate unless there's something, you know, that's greater than the norm.
What's the normal flat rate?
2 hours. It's less than 2 hours, it's only half the time.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, can I have a roll call vote, Elizabeth?
Yes, Shorten,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Tynes. Yes. Jennings.
Yes, thank you. Number 8 are the road district warrants for approval for payment this evening in the amount of $159,185.05. I have a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, this is the road district one?
Right.
So moved.
Okay, I'll make the second. I was about to make the first. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Lesbrance can't be here this evening, so I could field the questions if you had. Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Folds,
Yes.
Tynes.
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes, thank you. Number 9 is a motion to approve resolution 05111701, a line of credit renewal. Before we get to the motion, every year since I've been in office, we've got a line of credit, not large one, 50,000, as kind of a safeguard. There are no fees or charges from our bank for this, so just so everyone understands. So can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, in a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, or concerns here?
Have we ever pulled from line of credit?
We have not.
What's our cash balance? What are we allocated for? What can we handle until the first tax payment?
It's about $150,000 that we need for a carryover.
Okay.
This was more than that. Let's say we're in that time of the year and we're not necessarily short funds. It's more like, let's say some catastrophe hit and we needed more available funds. That's the way I.
Well, we've been short funds though.
When I started, we were borrowing money.
So if you combine, if you need 150,000, say for a month, if you combine the reserves with this 50, you're covered.
Actually, we need roughly 75 to 80 per month.
Okay.
So
But
I wouldn't intend this to be used for reserves. It's more like an emergency. It could be, whether it's a building emergency, something like that.
Well, it costs us nothing.
It costs us nothing to carry. We've never utilized it yet, but it's a nice safeguard.
okay.
Don't have any intent to use it.
I'm going to vote against it. I don't hear the really.
And the original agreement does require the board to approve it.
Right. Understood. I voted for this in the past, but given the strength of our financial situation and the statement from the supervisor that we're not going to need to tap it for regular operations, I don't see a need to have it hanging out there. The concept that we need it in case of an emergency situation, let's say severe damage happens to a building, we're paying for insurance. And I can't imagine a situation where that would not be acted upon quickly. And frankly, if an emergency happened in a building that required us to tap into that $50,000, I'm guessing that the cost involved would be greater than that.
Well, I mean, my perfect example, I guess, would be if the air conditioner on this building went out.
Okay.
And that could be very, very expensive. It's a
Okay.
large unit.
All right.
So, and that wouldn't be covered by insurance.
I think that, again, I don't necessarily view that as an emergency. I view that as, because if something like that were to happen and you needed to expend that money, the meeting could be called to the board, 2 days' notice, you can vote in favor of it. I just kind of like the idea of having that line of credit being out there. So I'll be voting against it. I'm just, if everyone else supposed to pass it, that's fine.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns here? Yeah, seeing none, roll call vote. Angela?
Dvorak,
Yes.
Shorten,
Nope.
Folds,
Yes.
Tynes.
Yes.
Jennings.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Number 10 on our agenda is a motion to post preliminary budgets for town, general assistance, cemetery, and all road and bridge funds on May 12th, which will be tomorrow, for public review. for public review, this has to be posted by law for 30 days before we can vote on approving the budget. So that's what we're asking for this evening. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Outline for me we passed an abatement that covered the $100,000 expense reduction from the assessor's office. Where's the $50,000?
It's actually not in here yet. I'm waiting for them to invoice us. So, for McHenry, the city of McHenry
Yeah.
will be invoicing us for February. I don't know.
No, I'm talking more about the reduction, the $50,000 reduction in expenses. Because
Excuse me.
we passed a budget that, I'm sorry, not a budget, a levy that was approximately $50,000 less than the previous year.
Right.
So I just want to know from your budget where that's coming from.
From various sources, and quite honestly, what it's doing is cutting into what we were building up in reserves.
So you're not actually cutting expenses,
We've cut some expenses, yes.
but not an equitable amount for the levy that was
No,
approved.
there's not enough there to cut, $150,000. Which is how much we lowered it. We abated 100,000, and we
Right.
lowered the levy 200. Excuse me.
So I see 24,000 came out of general administration, right?
And quite honestly, Mike, what we're doing is posting the budget tonight. We can have a budget workshop at a later date to go over the numbers.
Well, see, but this is good.
Well, the concern here is posting the preliminary budget, which we have to do.
By tomorrow, is that what is it?
We have to have a 30-day window.
Okay. And it just has to be passed
It has to be
and in
passed
place by
before
June 30th.
June 30th.
Okay. So number one, the idea of a workshop is something that we've heard over and over again when it comes to budgets, when it comes to levies. They never materialize. The place to have a budget workshop would have been before we ever got to the point where we posted a budget to be due 30 days prior, in my opinion. Granted, after tonight,
See, I
a
would
glass of
agree with
wine, I'll be
you.
sitting out there and,
We post the budget, then we have 30 days to adjust the budget.
right, and I was castigated at the last budget approval meeting for trying to approve it, or change it.
So if you post
I'm not
this,
sure what you mean.
well, if you post this and we have to sit, and then we have a budget workshop.
If you so desire,
Fine,
it's up to the board.
I can decide. But, so what happens if we change these numbers after we've published?
Then at the,
You can change the numbers.
You can change the numbers. We don't have to post again. This is, so are you looking at this as kind of the worst case scenario, like the max, or are you?
this is my recommendations,
Mhm.
okay? Then the board can go through, and the board can say, oh, we think we need to make changes based on this, and we'll all discuss it.
Mike, this is where I'm gonna miss your spreadsheets.
What's that?
This is when I'm gonna miss your spreadsheets.
I'll do that.
No, I mean, I get it, and then we have to post it, but I would like to understand the process better, so
After, if we have a budget,
if no one else wants to come in for a budget workshop, I'll just come in.
if we have a budget workshop, which will be an open meeting,
Okay,
we'll have to post that 2 days before we have it.
okay, because that's just in,
It's just a special meeting.
okay.
That,
In the paper?
no,
Okay.
just post on our website, post on the board outside.
Karen, if either Lee can call a special meeting or two of the board members, so if you want to get with anyone else that wants to. do
This is
that.
my first full-blown budget, so.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Correct.
I'd encourage you.
and we have to do, so,
So then-
I'm all for a
then
budget
we-
meeting, so I understand
So that we
to the
can
fullest
have
extent.
a budget workshop, we can come to some consensus on what the budget should be, and we have budget hearings. And the budget hearings are what we have to set tonight.
Okay, I'm good with
Those are the
that.
special meetings.
Right. And we cannot approve the budget in the budget hearings, we have to have another special meeting after that for approval.
Okay, so wait, so this is,
Sort of.
So you vote to post a budget tonight, it can be, you can say $5 on every single line. And that gets posted for 30 days prior. And then apparently you can do this year, which you can do last year, which is a changed budget the night that you approve it. What Lee's suggesting I agree should take place is between now and then, you can have a budget workshop where y'all get together in a meeting, you talk about the lines, nothing is voted on. Ultimately, the vote takes place at the next regular board meeting. So you can talk about budget items, you can make suggestions, but as far as amending the budget as proposed and voting on a final budget, that wouldn't take place till the next regular board meeting.
And the next regular board meeting is June 8th.
No, not the next regular board meeting, June 21st is what's being proposed, because there's not 30 days.
So wait, June
So I'm sorry.
21st is another meeting?
We'll have to have a special meeting for the hearings,
Right, knew that.
and then a meeting
And then,
afterwards to actually approve it.
and that would be a 7 o'clock at night meeting?
Correct.
Oh, so you're having a budget hearing on a different date than the regular meeting?
Yes.
You need 30 days, and because of the way the calendar fell,
It's the way the
Okay,
calendar
gotcha,
falls.
apologies, missed that one.
because it would have been June 8th.
Like
Okay,
in previous years, the second Thursday came after
got it,
May.
okay.
So this time we couldn't do that, so we'll have to have a special meeting. One of the things we could do is we could have a budget workshop directly before the budget hearing.
Mhm.
Okay? That's up to the new board, we can all decide as a consensus. I'm not against a budget workshop. The board has to want to do it. Okay, so, any other questions or concerns about posting the budget this evening? Seeing like we haven't got a call.
Minus,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Fortunately. Yes.
Shorten,
Yes,
Jennings.
Yes. Thank you, motion carries. Number 11 is a motion to approve the town GA cemetery and all road and bridge funds budget hearing for Wednesday, June 21st at 7 o'clock. This is a little different in that before we would set the road and the town funds hearings at a different time. I've been informed by Scott, you don't need to do that, we have them all at once. So there won't be that lag time in there. So that's what the motion's for. Can we have a first?
So you're going to have the budget hearing and
For all funds?
and the regular board hearing?
No, this is a special meeting.
Yeah, I see that, but you said you're going to combine both. So what two are you combining?
The way we used to separate the town budget hearing.
Oh, okay.
And the
And
road
you're
budget
going to put
hearing.
town and road together?
We're putting them all
Okay.
together. So can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. With a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments, or concerns? Rob, I did text you about this. I hadn't heard.
What?
About setting up a budget hearing date.
Whatever you want. I didn't see a text for budget hearing,
No, I thought I had.
no. That's what I was, I didn't tell you, but
Okay.
I heard it now.
Do you believe that Wednesday, June 21st would work for you?
Okay.
Got it. All right. So we have motions, so we have a roll call.
Okay. Dvorak,
Yes.
Tidus,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Shorten,
yes.
Jennings.
Yes. Okay. Number 12 on our agenda is a motion to approve Nunda's Transparency Act as presented by Mike Shorten last requested, I should say. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay. I am going to move that we postpone this motion indefinitely. So could I have a second on my motion? I'll explain in a moment.
Oh, I'll second that.
Well, I think,
Don't we
pardon
need
me,
to have,
I'll second
don't we have to second the
Lee's
first motion?
I made the motion.
there's already a motion on the floor. You're making another motion, a separate motion, or?
To postpone your motion
The
indefinitely.
under Roberts, which you haven't, adopted, as is my understanding, motion, you'd have to call for a second on that motion first. If there's a second, that motion's on the floor. And if you wanted to move to postpone it indefinitely, while that motion's pending, you can make that motion.
I jumped the gun, so do we have a second on Mr. Shorten's original motion?
The original motion to approve the Nunda Transparency Act, there was a motion made, and then the chair should call for a second.
Is there a second on that?
Well, if you second, what does that do? Open it up for discussion?
Yes.
Then for voting.
Discussion, amendment, and an up or down vote.
Well, so, don't you want it? So I'll second for discussion.
Okay. And then I move to postpone the motion indefinitely.
I'll second that.
And now,
So we're not going to have discussion on the first item?
well, what I'd like to do is ask Mr. Puma to address
Sure.
Can you hold,
Wait,
slow
there's
down
no
a second?
this.
Can you give me a moment, please?
If I'm out of order here, Kathleen.
Okay, so we, Bill, second, okay.
Lee's.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The motion to postpone indefinitely is a procedural motion that takes precedence over the other motion, and it's not debatable or discussable motion. The motion should be called, that motion should be called for a vote.
Okay. All in favor of postponing this?
I'm sorry, there's no discussion?
Not on a motion to postpone it indefinitely. That's a procedural motion that takes precedence without discussion. If the board wants to have discussion, that's up to you. I'm just telling you what Robert says for those of you who want to follow Robert's, even though the board hasn't adopted Robert's as its rules of order, because it's been mentioned in the past.
So apparently, you don't want to have discussion. I'm going to politely ask why we would want to postpone it.
Okay. Well, quite honestly, what you're asking the board to vote on is not legal.
Okay?
You cannot request that the board vote on something to force the supervisor to, or any other elected official for that matter, to do something that's not defined within the state statutes, the township code of the state statutes. I mean, you could want me to wear a blue shirt at a report meeting. You can't force me to. It's not. And it's not even what you're trying to do, it's just that you have no authority to do that. This board does not have that authority. It would be illegal.
So your objection is being told to do something by this board?
No, I'm objecting that you're trying to do something that's illegal.
Okay. And the thing that I'm trying to do that's illegal is to improve transparency for the taxpayers in Nunda Township.
Like what you're trying to do is impose your will beyond what's legally at your capability as a trustee. Quite honestly, you can't do that. It's illegal. Whether we make changes and we do things for transparency is totally separate than trying to say, you will do this in this fashion or we will fine you. There is no capacity.
There's no fine capacity in the,
This is a new one, isn't it?
I
mean, this isn't the one that was handed out that I
This is
got.
the one that I emailed last month.
The first one had a fine, didn't it?
I don't recall that it did. I don't think this one does either.
The only one that I've seen has a fine.
That's the one I remember seeing. This one, I just assumed when this was in the packet that it was the same one I read, which had a fine.
I have no different one.
Will result in fines of no more than $100 a day. It's in section 5.
Right. This is different than what,
Okay.
Was another one handed out this evening?
not this evening, like 2 meetings ago or.
So I'd be willing to remove the section about fines. I think that there's a question.
Even without that, the authority to say, thou shalt make this piece of paper available in this format. And quite honestly, I will not be making general assistance information available beyond what we have. It would put us in a situation for a lawsuit.
I think,
I firmly believe that.
I took,
The board,
disagree with you.
the board certainly can come in at any time and look at our general assistance. But to put that information online and available to the public is opening us up to a lawsuit.
The ordinance that I put forward, which apparently is a suggestion given the discussion tonight, draws out a report that asks for the supervisor on a monthly and an ongoing basis to publish a report that, number one, shields individual identities, and number two, shields individual households. So at no point will the information that would go into this report that's available to the board or that would go out to the public, would it be identifiable as to either the name of the person that is applying for general assistance or the address of the person where that person lives. So there would be no discernible way for anyone to gather that information short of breaking into your office, breaking into your files, and cross-referencing the individual identifier and the household ID. So I take that out of the equation.
Well, I have to tell you, I wholeheartedly believe that our trustees should come in and look at general assistance.
Okay,
Wholeheartedly.
So why not take 5 minutes with each case and put it on a spreadsheet, make it available to trustees, make it available to the public?
We have
for use?
a summary of that in our package every month.
You have a check register.
We have a spread, we have some,
It doesn't contain some of the information that's requested here.
and I think that's more than sufficient. Any trustee that needs to go beyond that can go beyond that. This isn't information that we would provide if we were FOIA for it.
This is sad.
It's not sad for
No,
not
it's,
to want us to get us in a
it's sad for.
Excuse me, Mike, you're out of order. I'd like to go back to my original motion to table this indefinitely. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
And what were these two votes?
Well, by indefinitely, it means it can be brought back up if it, I mean, Scott
No, not
didn't.
before not doing this.
Right, but I mean, transparency is never a bad thing, but Scott,
No,
have
not at
you,
all.
have other villages enacted anything like this?
No, not to my firm's knowledge. I asked Carrie Lynn Krafteffer, who heads our township practice, to take a look at this. She said she's never seen it like it, and that this is beyond the authority of the town board. And what she and I, what I had talked with Jim Rockefeller before, and a review of this. So it's beyond the authority.
Karen, move to table it, hold it, we'll discuss it later.
It is available in the,
That-
You'll see
Table it,
Lita,
just stops
yeah.
right now, and we continue on later.
All right,
second.
look, there's a motion that's been called for a voice vote. The clerk has asked for clarification on the voice vote, so there should be a roll call vote.
Okay, Dvorak,
No.
you don't want to postpone?
The motion is to postpone this, so that we don't hear it again.
I have a question.
Okay?
Having the transparency, and we're talking about the GA, right?
Mhm.
In my career, anytime I would look into the, say, the secrecy of the GA, I'd like to hear a complaint from that person and follow through with a complaint. And this doesn't happen. If it does, we hear about it and we know the problem. but I haven't heard anything. That's my point of view on knowing the problem, so to speak.
Sorry.
When you say problem, then you're referring to
Okay, so,
what issues people are encountering?
Well, they generally, the complaints generally come to where they're rejected.
Right.
And
to my knowledge, we've had no general assistance complaints. We have had Mr. Shorten look over every general assistance case that we've done.
well, as an example, if I have a person complaining about the road district, and I get a call, I would look into it first with the road district, or look at the problem, go to the road district. And that's as plain as you can handle it, know it.
With all due respect, I don't think
We've got to
you're,
vote on the question.
with all due
Otherwise-
respect, you're not saying you're.
This is our job.
Or telling people
We
we're
got to
complaining.
vote. Wait, we got to vote. There's a vote, a voice vote. The clerk asked for clarification, so there needs to be a roll call vote. So
Okay,
Okay,
you voted no. Keep going.
okay. Votes,
I'm voting for.
The motion is to postpone indefinitely.
Oh, yes, I vote yes to be postponed.
Tynes,
Yes.
Jennings.
yes. Thank you, motion carries.
I did, Mike said no.
Motion postpone indefinitely carries 3-2.
Now, that being said, I am for making us more transparent, but not in a situation that could get us in a legally binding or a lawsuit. It won't happen.
And that wasn't in there. It wasn't in there. It wasn't in there. And don't tell me I'm out of order because you're out of order right now.
Excuse me, Mike, I'm not. Thank you. Number 13, a motion to appoint the cemetery board treasurer. I would like to make a motion to appoint Nunda Drainage as our cemetery board treasurer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion concerning this?
I do have a question. In reading through this, I believe it was the last page. The conclusion said, for the reasons discussed above, the full Nunda Township Board of Trustees is authorized by the Public Graveyards Act to appoint officers to the cemetery board.
Yes.
And I don't believe that Lita was appointed by the full board.
So
That's what you're asking to do.
That's what I'm asking to do this evening. What we had done previously, we had looked at how our previous supervisors had appointed board members, and we've determined that that probably wasn't appropriate.
So now we're going
having
back,
four
we're
to vote on this.
going back and
Trying to
authorizing.
fix that.
Trying to fix it, correct.
Thank you.
Was there a public notice posting made for applicants who want to join the board?
No, there was not.
Okay. So I'm gonna recommend, probably for the same reasons that you asked to have transparency ordinance postponed indefinitely. I would suggest to this board, for several reasons, that we don't take this up tonight. Number one, and this goes back to the statement that I made last month, is that, number one, we want to do it appropriately, and so I appreciate that we got half of that equation. The other half of the equation was that I felt that it should be open to the public for members of the public to apply. And at that point, the board would make a decision on who that person should be. That wasn't done. And no disrespect to Lita, but there's a lot of people who live in Nunda Township And there's a fair amount of people who like the opportunity to serve and be interviewed and be qualified for that job. Number two, from a rule of law perspective, we have a couple issues as I read it. The state statute says that no two members of the cemetery board should reside within the same municipality unless that municipality makes up more than 50% of the board. So this is a larger problem with the makeup of the board currently. You have Ann Wells and Susan Condon, who both live in the city of Crystal Lake, and unless my math is incorrect, the city of Crystal Lake proper municipality makes up less than 50% of Nunda Township. Number three, the motion that's before us, and the motion is spelled out on the agenda, is to appoint a cemetery board treasurer. I could not find anywhere in state statutes or within the Ansel Blank handbook that has anybody appointing a treasurer or an officer at any point. The state statute allows for the appointment of trustees. So if we were to appoint or vote to appoint a treasurer, it's a non-appointment. That person would not be a member of the cemetery board because it's a board of trustees, not treasurer or officers. And then fourth thing I have concern about is that as I look at our website currently, it shows the board as being a 4-member board with the super listing himself as secretary, and I have grave concerns about having a 4-member board in which the supervisor and is the only staff member in the supervisor's office being members of the board.
The supervisor is not a voting member.
Okay, well, it's listed on that way in the website, and it also gives positions. So I guess what I'm saying, and I'll divert back to my third point, which is state statute doesn't allow for the appointment of a treasurer. It allows for the appointment of trustees, and I'll leave it to Mr. Goodman to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll gladly follow suit if that's the case. But I would make a motion, we can either make a motion to postpone indefinitely or simply vote it down and allow the next board to take it up.
Who writes the checks now?
The treasurer of the cemetery board is the supervisor. So appointing a person to treasurer of the cemetery board is, I mean, again, it's,
I'm not treasurer of the cemetery board.
that's what I read in the,
I'm secretary.
but I'm saying the state statute says that you're the treasurer.
Well, I don't know that state statute is how this board is configured.
I have a copy of the Public Graveyards Act, which is what I understand from the opinion under which the...
I don't have it in front of me, so I sent this out and said if anybody had any questions, please let me know, or nobody asked any questions. So I don't have it in front of me. I didn't bring it. So I am going to say that I would have to defer. I would recommend that the board continue this to the next meeting to appoint a cemetery board member. I have no idea where these folks live, and that on the board, that hasn't ever been raised to my knowledge. So, nor do I know recall how they got on the board.
That being the case, I'll rescind my motion, and we can table this for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Withdrawing your motion.
Withdraw the motion, correct. Okay. And if you could do further research for us.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm just withdrawing it.
So was that a motion to?
No, I withdrew my motion.
Oh.
So where are we at now? We're,
It's just
it's tabled?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next are the reports by the elected officials. I'll make mine real quick. The annual audit will begin Monday, May 22nd. So we'll have the auditors in for several weeks. I'd like to thank trustee Bolts and trustee Shorten, as well as our clerk Angela, for their service. I'd like to welcome Clerk Smith and the trustees Parrish and Parrish. So, welcome to our board. I've arranged for a swearing-in ceremony to be held here in the town hall on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. So if anyone would like to attend. That's it from me. Angela?
We had a bid opening on Tuesday for a road widener in the road district. There was one bid that was received. No one else was present except for Road Commissioner Lesbrance and myself. We opened the bid for $47,500 from Road Widener LLC, and Mr. Lesbrance accepted the bid right away. And that was the end of that one. I'd like to thank the residents of our township for electing me to this position. It has been rather challenging, as my ethics have not been in line with other ethics from this board, and it's been my choice to not run again for those reasons. I taught sixth grade for over 20 years and found that in many ways this was very similar to working with sixth graders. It was very discouraging and very embarrassed to be part of this board, and that's all I have to say.
Mr. Lesbrance could not be here this evening. He's given me nothing to state for himself, so with that. Mark, do you have anything for us?
No, not too much, just a copy of the monthly report on the back table there. I did take a couple pages off of our website in case, some people don't visit that. I am trying to kind of promote that as a valuable tool for the residents here, so there's a lot of good information on there, and I took some of that and put it in here for you. Just moving along on the assessment roll. Anticipating the supervisor is looking for it around June 19th. I expect it'll be around the 1st of June when we'll go ahead and certify the assessment roll to the county. Tax bills are out, so if anybody hasn't received it, you might want to go on and online and take a look at it if you're interested in it, and make sure you're receiving all your exemptions and everything on there that you're entitled to, and
What's the last day to appeal, Mark?
pardon me?
Last day to appeal?
Well, it'll be 30 days after we're published.
That's the white card.
Well, it's a letter now, they send it out in letter format.
Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Shorten?
I got into local politics is probably about 10 years ago. And the reason that I got in, and this goes back to a young age, is that, sometimes you see that in Illinois is a great example, that government here is not working. And I wanted to make a change, and this doesn't, necessarily mean losing this race or leaving this position means that I'm going away. But my dad taught me to do the right things for the right reasons. And that's why I got involved. That's how I ran for office 4 years ago, and I tried to do the right things for the right reasons for the past 4 years. I realized that me doing the things that I did for the reasons that I thought were the right reasons have rubbed some people the wrong way. And I think part of that is because I tend to approach this as kind of the rule of law perspective. I don't bring things forward because I'm looking to spite anybody. I'm bringing them forward because I think that the best way to have a successful government And to enable people to live their lives in the most fruitful way that they see possible is to get government out of the way, to make it smaller, make it less important. And the way you do that is by being transparent, being accountable, driving costs out. I have to be honest with you, 4 years in office here has been a textbook lesson in what's wrong with a lot of boards and what's wrong with the state of Illinois, is that I think either, I don't know what it is, people are not, whether it's self-protectionism, or maybe people just disagree, and that's fine too. But the lack of want to have discussions is disappointing. I'm glad that we were able to lower taxes this year. I'm thankful, Mr. Dzemski, I can't talk enough about because of what he's done, and lowering his spending in his office and lowering taxes. I'm going to just, I want to thank all the members of the board. Like I said, I know you don't always agree with me, but I respect the job that you do. Lee, I think you've done some good things. I think that, you took over an administration that was troubled, and I think you made some positive advances. I think there's a long way to go, and I hope that the next board pushes in that direction. To the elected officials that are going to be taking office effective on Monday, your accountability is not going to be to anybody at this table. Your accountability is not to other elected officials. Your accountability is not to staff. Your accountability is to the people of Nunda Township. And don't forget about that. Don't let anyone else in any elected position tell you how you should do your job or what your responsibilities are. If you're not clear, again, Ansel Plink has a great book. State statutes are pretty guiding, and if you respect my opinion, I'm more than happy to share it with you. If you don't respect my opinion, then don't ask me. I'll speak about transparency real quick. Obviously, not the outcome I wanted. Hopefully the next board sees fit to move forward with it. We need to get board packets up on the internet in advance of meetings. We need to post videos of meetings. It's possible. I've got the camera running here. I'm gonna run home. Probably within an hour or two getting home, I'll have it up on Facebook and YouTube. It's not a difficult process. That's about all I have. It's 4 years. I'm not going to be here. I'll be up there with you, so save me a seat. There's usually a couple. Thank you.
Mr. Bolts.
I don't have a long prepared bit of words. It's been a pleasure to serve on this board. In my mind, I came on here, I didn't know anyone. Zero. I came into this by sitting in the audience and learning. Came to every meeting. I sat with Mr. Parrish many a night, and we were the only two here. So I was fortunate enough to have the trust put in me to be able to work for the people of Nunda Township. I'll never forget that was a real shining light in my life. I brought a copy of my tax bill with me, and I don't think the problem really lies right here. And I think if you all go home and you do the same thing I did, you'll find that the savings was here, but the spendings was elsewhere. So I know my taxes net went up $116, okay? I don't know how that relates to anyone else, but we saved $21 in this township. So I feel we did an admirable job. We are a leader, or we were a leader in pushing forward. If I had my way, I'd tell you all to save 10%, don't send it to the controller or to the person that we send a check to. And that might force people to understand, hey, we're fed up with this. I understand it, I'm a taxpayer. But again, the problem is not here. Lee and Mike, they're hardworking gentlemen. They do, as far as I can tell, they do a hard day's work. And they do it for the people of Nunda Township. And they could sure use your support. And sitting down and talking with them, you might be surprised. So, all I can do is say thank you to all of you for allowing me to work with you. And especially Lee, especially Mike, and Eddie over there, you know, they gave me the confidence that you could do this, you know. I wish the new members coming in the best of luck, and I know you'll all do well. Because, you know, as Mike said, I'll be sitting back out there and watching, so it is what it is. We can make this township the greatest one in McHenry County because of what we've started already, so just carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Ed, do you have any?
Well, I've got to thank Bill and Mike after what they both said. And I wish them happiness after leaving the board. They did a good job. And I want to congratulate the new members. I know the boys, I know Rob, I know his little brother, Tim. I knew his father. I knew his family well. And welcome aboard.
Karen?
The same. Thank you, guys. I'm happy to hear you'll be in the audience. And also, welcome, Joni, Rob, and Tim, let them know. And wait, this isn't new business, right? This is just,
Not going to
okay, so I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. Number 15 on our agenda is new business.
I'm in favor of a budget meeting.
Budget workshop.
Yeah, workshop.
But the question would become, do you do it before the budget hearings or on a different day? So, Rob, if you and Tim want to discuss that as well.
What's the,
There's no protocol. I mean,
we just need 48 hours.
We need 48 hours to answer the question.
You know what, I would get your email before we go, yours and your brother's. Show me.
Yeah, Rob, if you could leave that with us. We'll know the rules.
Is everybody
Or we can
aware
get one that-
I changed it.
of the swearing in time?
I changed it. Yes,
9 a.m.
9 o'clock. 9 a.m.
And what's the date on that?
Monday.
Monday the 15th.
Oh, my, good.
Okay. Any other new business?
So wait, we're just gonna get back to you with the times?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it's just after swearing in, just don't email it amongst yourselves. Email it back to you. If you don't want to violate both the meetings.
It's not a violation if we send a group email, right? To everyone? That is a
It is
violation?
if you start communicating back and forth. So,
And send, one way out is okay, it's the response back that creates the contemporaneous communication issue.
Even if you hit reply all?
That's the opposite of what you should do.
Okay,
Some
so
people can talk, but everyone,
just don't
there shouldn't be
communicate
reply all,
mass emails.
no reply all.
Okay,
And the telephone works too. So that's the way to go.
oh, and just a quick question, we've never adopted Robert's rules.
I don't know if it ever was. I'd have to look back
Been
through all
following
of
it
it.
for the minutes, but it's just.
We just never really,
No.
that was the first time I'd ever heard
I
that.
don't know if the
I
board
just
ever
assumed
did.
you did.
You don't have to, there's no law in Illinois that says that Robert's rules cover.
I just assumed,
Yeah,
that's
Robert's
the first
is-
I'd ever heard of it.
It,
Commonplace.
Yeah.
people seem to think that it is, but it's not.
And I have no idea. I mean, the board's been around for a long time. So who knows? Any other new business? See none. Old business? Certainly the cemetery has been brought up in the past several times. I'd like to turn that over to staff.
Just following up on the discussion about whether the cemetery board should be kept. The FOIA to the county clerk yielded the 3 pages of documents that were in your packet. The indication seems to be that the annual town meeting in 1969 set the levy amount for, or established the levy for the cemetery, and it says shall be, the question that was certified apparently seems to say that it's the cemetery board that is to levy that tax. So I would be concerned that if you eliminate your cemetery board, that you wouldn't have that tax any longer. And because you use that money to maintain the cemeteries that the township owns, if you want to maintain that levy, you should keep the cemetery board in place. I don't think we're going to find anything else anywhere. Angela spent a bunch of time looking and came up with bits and pieces of meetings because the records aren't bad. So I think she did her best, and that kind of goes with some of the stuff that she had found about the 1969 meeting.
So this discussion kind of all germinated out of the law that was passed in the state legislature a couple of years ago that would enable, I think it started with, it would enable the cemetery board to be
Dissolve themselves.
dissolve themselves. And so that kind of led to a discussion of what is it, you know, is the cemetery board really, so they're under the, from the writing here, I saw that they're under the Public Graveyards Act because the cemeteries were started in the 1800s, which predates any referendum that would have passed
Right.
back in the 60s. Okay.
Or in lieu of knowing whether the cemetery board was established by the township.
Right.
board.
So by lack of information, the presumption is they existed prior and then they were brought into the township at some time, so that puts them under the Public Graveyards Act.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding that? Okay. Any other old business? Seeing none, we'll go to number 17, public comment. Would anyone like to speak on that? Any public comment?
I have some questions from, oh,
Go ahead.
were you gonna? I have some questions that came out of the meeting, following the meeting along. Number 9, your line of credit. Is that a secured line of credit?
It's secured by the full faith and credit of the township.
Right.
Okay.
It's not secured with
There's no
monies.
mortgage.
Okay. Do you know, do you have to sign a contract for it? Do you have to sign something? Did you shop around with banks?
No,
Do you know?
we're using our primary bank.
Your bank, but did you shop at any other banks? Do you know the interest rate? I mean, I'm just curious.
The interest rates vary extremely low. I don't know the exact rate right now.
Okay. Number 10, the preliminary budgets. Is that workshop going to be open to the public?
Yes.
So in 48 hours before you have to post it?
That's correct.
Okay. So is there another way, if I leave an email or something like that, that I can be notified of that?
I would believe we could do that.
Okay. You mentioned that...
If you can do this, send an email to my office so that we
Okay.
have to do that.
Okay, great. You mentioned 150,000 between the 50 and the 100 and everything like that. I'm just curious as to why that in your preliminary budget that you're posting, why would most of that come out of reserves instead of working on the budget before you took it?
What I meant is that will not allow us this next year to put any future monies into reserves.
Okay. I thought, I heard you say that most of those budget items were reduced from taking it out of the reserve. So then, if you followed this preliminary budget, you're saying to me when you did that budget, you reduced budget line items by that 150.
Well, a lot of what we had in overages, of our previous budgets, were actually put into reserves. 4 years ago, we had no reserves. We were borrowing $50,000 and not paying some of the previous month's bills. That was with my predecessor.
So semantics right now are, you're not reducing anything, you're just not gonna put it into
We have
reserves.
reduced things, but the overages that we might have had to put towards reserves won't be there at all.
Okay, okay.
I think we're down to about what our actual costs were without adding to reserves. Pretty darn close.
11, the hearing and the special meeting that you're gonna have to approve that, is that open to the public?
Yes.
Okay. Number 12, transparency. I've mentioned a couple times since I've been coming, today I asked about the minutes, the draft minutes. If you're a public speaker and you're making public comments, you certainly don't want them on your website with your name if they're incorrect. So how can a person that's made public comments without seeing those minutes that you're approving know that what they said was correctly reflected in the minutes if you can't see them before the meeting? Okay, so that's why I would like to see them. And the trustee packets, I've asked that a couple times. I guess there's difficulty with getting them online.
Well, the question comes, do we put unapproved bills online? Do we put things that haven't been approved online?
And if they're stated that they're unapproved, what,
It still leaves you open for FOIA, still leaves you open for,
aren't you open to that anyway though?
not for draft minutes and draft things that aren't approved.
So once again, could those trustee packets be available for people before the meeting?
Well, that depends, it's like, if you look at this trustee packet, we've got about 30 pages worth. How many copies do we make to put back there?
Well,
It's,
so I guess I would ask you,
it's a work in progress.
what I would ask you is, what is transparency if the people that are showing interest in something don't have available to them to learn before a meeting where you just sit up there and do what you're doing?
No, you can go into the supervisor's office during their office hours at
And you
any
can-
time and review bills.
And, yeah, I'm just saying your packets.
Right.
So I know what you're talking about.
Right.
So you can come in here, say beforehand, and request packets,
Right.
and those would be available.
I'm looking at different options. One of my thoughts are, as we bring a new clerk on, we'll have a computer available to her. Potentially, we could have all the information presented here available to be printed. So when somebody comes, rather than printing, I think we printed 20-something agendas. Most of them are going to hit the garbage can. If we've got 20 or 30 pages, potentially we could put something together and let people, as they come to a meeting, print that out. And then after the meetings, post what's.
If I requested whatever that PDF that you're saving that could be printed, if I requested that from you by email, would you be willing to email it to someone?
I believe we could, but I'm still working on that.
When could I expect an answer? Well, I mean, it's been 3 months that I've been coming that I've asked that same question.
Well,
So,
let us work out the details.
okay.
There's a instrument called Google Drive where you can upload documents directly onto the web. It takes literally about 7 seconds to upload a file. So again, I don't understand what the objection is. The packet, even the transparency resolution that I put forward did not request the bills be posted because of the obstacles that we defined for. So there's no reason why an agenda, resolutions, copies of budgets can't be dropped into the Google Drive in 20 seconds and then a link posted onto the webpage.
Number 13, just in case anybody is going to say you don't really have people interested in anything regarding any appointments to the cemetery board, I'd be willing to interview for that.
Okay.
Number 15, Okay, sorry. I was trying to follow the bid opening thing. I know Mr. Lesperance isn't here, but I heard Angela say something about there was a bid opening, but there was only one bid. So it goes into a newspaper, is that correct?
Correct.
And is that Mr. Lesperance's responsibility?
I think he
No.
gives that information to the clerk. The clerk
It's supposed
publishes
to
it.
come to me to be published.
Supposed to. Okay. Okay. If you've only received one bid, is it ever done where you would possibly approach someone else for a bid? Because how do you know what you're getting when you're only getting one bid?
Don't know if he's required.
The bids are supposed to be sealed, so if you, once you open it, if you go to approach somebody else, that's not really fair practice.
No, I know, but you know that you only got one bid before
Right.
you opened it.
So is, yeah, well, then to approach somebody after the fact, that means everybody else knows what your price was.
No, what I'm saying is, before you open the bid, do you only know there's one in there?
You can't.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can't then say, I only got one. You'd have to reject that bid and then go back out to bid again.
And
Because,
republish.
and republish and go through that. You can't,
Which he's done a few times,
Okay.
where he wasn't satisfied with the bid, and
But
in the article, in the public notice, it has stated, at the road commissioner's discretion.
He can, okay.
Even if you get 3 and they all came in higher than he expected or budgeted, he can reject all.
Okay.
You
But
could also find that the bids were not inclusive of what they were requesting.
Okay.
Are there instances where there's one bid, he opens up and accepts it carte blanche, or?
Well, that's what he
That's
did
what he
this
did.
time.
yeah.
But again, I might add that this might be a piece of equipment that's only made by
One
party.
person.
I'm just saying it could be
Yeah.
specialized.
Okay.
So it's just like surgical equipment, if only one company makes it, you gotta go to them. So, I'm not sure of
Yeah.
that, but.
And is there something in the process that if he knows these people do that work and maybe they don't get the newspaper, can he also let them know that that bid is in the newspaper?
Yes,
Okay.
typically, I don't know what his practice is, but typically, units of government will say, we're gonna do this project, and we know these 4 people will bid for it, so we're gonna contact them ahead of time. There's also a website that I think he probably publishes to for public bidding,
Okay.
that people look at
Yeah,
more so than the,
it's online, and he does
yeah,
post with them.
more so than the newspapers, so that, just because of the lack of circulation in newspapers these days, so the online thing is what is kind of the go-to.
He has also published in the TOI magazine.
Okay. And then this final thing is just something I'm curious about. I know he's not here to answer these, so I'm not sure who would have the answers. Maybe we can get them, or I might have to write an email to get them, but everything I've been hearing at the last few meetings is all about him, like, getting into the paving business, so that we're not going outside for paving, we're not going outside for bids. Is there an actual engineer on staff in the road district?
I don't think so.
A road engineer that knows, so we're assuming that the road district person knows everything about how deep something has to be and all
He
that.
hired a paving contractor.
Say it again?
He hired someone with years of paving experience.
Okay,
He is-
so we can assume then
And he
when,
does do engineering on roads, and I don't know, I couldn't tell you which roads have engineering in the company. It's probably based on drainage.
meaning he has an outside firm engineer it before he does it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
It's probably more drainage
Yeah.
than,
Does stormwater management still have, through the county, still have to approve everything he does?
To a certain size.
yeah, it's,
I don't know the square footage, but
So-
it has to reach a certain size project.
Okay.
So, if he's only doing 4 feet of ditch, he doesn't have to necessarily call.
If he's repaving a whole road, let's say,
Yeah, then that would be properly engineered, I'm sure.
and so when he comes in and repaves, like, I just know of a road he just repaved at the end of last year. And I could assume that if I called stormwater permit, he has to, or if I FOIA, the township itself has to get a stormwater permit.
I don't know the guidelines on this one.
So it's the highway commissioner that the township doesn't pull the permit. If a stormwater permit is necessary, the highway commissioner will be the one pulling the permit. So the township wouldn't have a record of that, the supervisor's office where you normally send a FOIA. So that would be from the highway commissioner.
So that's where you would FOIA to see if a
Or you
permit
could
was
ask,
issued.
you call up and ask them, and I'm sure that he'll explain it to you.
Okay, so if he's doing his own paving, let's just assume that, who then, like, if I got a permit to do something at my house, my driveway or something, I have to get a permit, they have to come out, they have to check it. If he's the person doing the work, who's the person overseeing that he did the work right? We're just assuming it's all being done right?
That's his job.
That's his
That's
job,
road commissioner.
okay. And
If
has,
he had hired a firm, he would be the one that would affirm that the work was done correctly.
okay, and township, I don't know if this is road district, you as a board or whatever, was the liability of him doing this work, the liability to the township of him doing what quote unquote used to be contracted out to a firm, was the liability considered? What liability would that be to the township if he isn't doing something right? Paving
That would
something.
fall under our, what's TORMA, which is our liability.
Right, but was that research before we decided that we were going to do all this paving inside, is my question.
Well, there wouldn't be any additional liability beyond what our insurance would do. So there's nothing from the township's perspective. It's purely a decision made by the road commissioner, and there's no additional liability insurance in doing it. You know, whether they're paving a road or they're digging a ditch, our liability insurance is the same.
And I'm just asking because from what I understand though, we've become like a paving person now. We're not just potholing, we're just not doing that. We've bought pavers, we've bought lots of things, and we're not really contracting our paving out anymore, are we?
In general, no.
No.
There may be some situations that we're involved with. For
Just the
example,
purchase of the asphalt.
Okay, so my original question was anything researched in the additional liability it takes that now you've doing all this paving in-house instead of contracting it to someone else?
Right, that would be the road commissioners.
Okay, okay.
Cindy?
I can tell you that there may be circumstances, for example, we'll probably be paving Crystal Springs Road this year. We won't be paving that. That will be a firm. Our road commissioner will be working with that firm because that money, those monies were received through a grant, and that grant specifies that we have to use
An outside
an
firm.
outside firm. Correct.
The resolution that was approved tonight for the line of credit was tax exempt rate of 2.058%. 2.058.
Thank you.
That's actually unchanged.
No.
What's that number again, Mike?
2.058%.
Which was increase in the liability?
No, that's
That's rate.
that's an interest rate and a line of credit.
It's the line of credit.
Mr. Parrish?
How much have you all seen my work over the last 4 years? You've all done an excellent job. Got the burden on taxpayers and make yourselves a little more customer and taxpayer friendly. I want to thank you for your attendance at the meetings and speaking openly to the public when they have questions to you. I question why the road commissioner has missed 5 meetings in the last year. This is where he is supposed to address the public, people like Cindy that have questions to answer them. I believe it's 5 times in a year. This is when he has to be accountable to the people, like me sitting in the audience. In a month from now, I'm on the other side of the table and he'll be accountable to me as a trustee. You need to be here. I don't think you've missed in 4 years.
No.
Right.
Not a single one.
Ed's missed a little bit because he's been ill. The rest of you have all been here. I mean, that's the most money that moves this whole township, and he should be sitting right up there with you and answering the questions for these people in the audience. And if we're not gonna follow Robert's rules of order, then it's gonna be an open discussion the whole time on everything we talk about.
I agree with you. If he were here, he would have answered those questions to her. Many of those questions, the trustees and the board members know little about. You're looking at another entity, a lot of authority. And sometimes we start stepping on their shoes at their job, and we're fighting one another, like other townships have been. But if you approve his budget, how he spends his money after that is his job. I'll agree that with contracts, buying equipment, he may have in his mind or in his office a policy of getting a minimum of 2 bids or 3 bids. 1 bid at like the county level, that's unacceptable. They won't accept 1 bid unless it meets all of the dollar, 15, 20%. If it's below the 20%, they can accept it for 1 bid. I don't know if the highway commissioner has those policies, but it would be good to have them. That would relieve the clerk of some responsibility.
Rob, I can't give you an answer on that, obviously.
No,
You can voice your
I'm
concern.
speaking from an experience point of view.
Right. I totally get what you said. No, I'm just saying that this is where he's supposed to
I
be
agree.
accountable to the people.
I agree.
You know, you can't hide down there and you can't do whatever you want and then not show up when people ask you where you've been, what you're doing, why you're doing this or that. And to go on to say what Cindy had talked about is we are growing exponentially in the paving end here at the township. We're out knocking on doors for other township or other municipalities to do work for it. The township is incurring the additional costs of the wear and tear of the equipment and additional materials we need to do a bigger scope. So the burden on the taxpayer is growing with him doing more work. He may say he's getting paid for it. We just bought a $47,000 road widener, which we wouldn't need if we did our work. But now that we're doing Oakwood Hills and looking to do Island Lakes work and all these other municipalities, Holiday Hills, we need more stuff like a general contractor would have to do a bigger scope of work. He has wideners, but now we do so much more scope of work, we need bigger wideners and more stuff. So we're gonna spend more money. I know we did a ton of work on the asphalt paver this year because we laid so much material on it. Something that should have lasted 4 years is 1 year now of wear and tear. And we have all additional labor and stuff like that. So I agree with Cindy exactly about because we're growing exponentially and somebody's getting a bigger feather in their cap, the burden is going on the taxpayers completely.
I want to concur with the sitting over in the chairs there. Mark, when he was appointed, that's where he sat the first meeting. He's always sat at the head of the table.
It's an elected official. You should be up there accountable in front of the people.
So we're looking for one more.
That's gonna cost, we're gonna need another table.
No. But I thought, I know what you're talking about.
So then the question I would have is, how does the board encourage the behavior of him being here? So you aren't being asked the questions he should be answering. You know, you made the comment earlier that, you know, with the transparency and acts and everything, you don't want to be dictated to, and you don't want to have an act. You
Well,
want to be,
And if I can correct you, it's not a matter of being dictated to, it would be illegal.
I understood what you said.
So it's-
Your analogy of wearing the blue shirt, okay? How do you then encourage, as a board, you know, you're approving his warrants every month, and he is not even here to answer any questions regarding those warrants, correct? So if you stopped approving his warrants until he showed up to a meeting, he might have to come.
You can't, actually.
Okay, that's just an example.
Right.
But how do you encourage that? Because my transparency thing to you is this. Every time I ask these questions over and over, it seems it's got to be me that comes to you for information. But I elected you and I'm paying your salary. It should be you giving the information to me, just as it should be him. I'll go out of my way to get all this stuff, but it's discouraging people from being involved instead of encouraging people.
I appreciate your comments. Any other comments?
I've been a resident of Nunda Township for over 20 years by far. I've been a part of this board. I have seen the transition. I have to tell you with 100% certainty, you guys have done an incredible job. Each and every one of you, in your own personal ways, with your own personalities and your judgments, even down to our attorney. You guys have all done an incredible job. I wish more public was involved. When I was on the board, we had nobody in the audience. Nobody came to our meetings. What these people, each and every one of them do, is 2,000 times more than what their previous board did. They are doing a great job. You guys should be applauded. When I looked at my tax bill, as you said, Bill, guess what I noticed on mine? I had a decrease in one area. Guess what area that was in? Nunda Township. Increases on everything else. So the involvement is great. And I'm not saying anybody ever does. Attacking is not always the best approach. I think you guys do explain things to the best of your abilities. I commend each and every one of you. I think you've done a great job. You've done what trustees should do. You've done what clerks should do. You've done what supervisors should do. And Mike is doing what he should do. And in my opinion, he does a good job with the roads. Each and every one of you have done a great job. And I can say that from experience with the previous board. It's incredible. I applaud all of you.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you. In the middle of document signing here, I would like to make another statement. And, you know, I want to make sure that you understand that there is a difference between the board trying to do something illegally to force their will upon us, as opposed to getting together and working and saying, let's do this, let's do that. And that's a big difference. And Rob, I encourage you and Tim, I'm not against being open and working together. So it's something that we have to realize. It's a two-way street. It really is. So we need to foster that type of attitude. And I would like to, hopefully I can get everyone to realize that it's not about not wanting to lower taxes. For me, it's been about fighting, and Rob will attest to this. He's been to 2/3 of the meetings since I've been in office. It's about getting to a point where we have enough savings and enough reserves that anything we spend above and beyond that, we can give back to the taxpayers. You know, anything that we don't spend money. So, and we're pretty much to that point. We needed to build up reserves. We're pretty much there. Without doing that work for the last 4 years, there wouldn't have been money to give back to the taxpayers. So it's a matter of maintaining a certain level, and we're probably pretty close to that level at this point. Yes?
Do we have videos of the meetings on the website?
We do not,
Is there a reason why we don't?
because of the size of the
What's your professional background?
I've got an IT background.
You've been IT there.
Yes.
So my 13-year-old kid can figure out how to get video on the website, but you can't?
That's not what I said. We don't
Because
have
the size.
Size limitations on our website.
Size limitations of what?
Well, size limitations of those videos are very large.
Reduce it.
Okay?
Take it a lower bit rate.
Eric, I don't know if you're familiar with Google Photos. I don't work for Google, I'm not getting paid for them or by them, but Google Photos has a service where whether it's your pictures or videos, if you agree to allow them to shrink a little bit, they do it for you. you can host videos and pictures on their website for free of charge, unlimited.
So I would assume, since we're talking about transparency, you would know about that, since you're having IT background.
Yes, I do.
So is there a reason, again, why
I
the
do
videos
not,
aren't available to the public?
I do not believe that I would like to put documents out on Google.
I don't think
Docs
anyone's
video
ever
where
asked.
you lose
I said a
control.
video of these meetings.
That and number one, the meetings are all available. I'll give them to anyone at any time. However, no
How do we
one's-
get that? You have to request it from you?
Yes,
Okay. Why can't a member of the public simply go to the website and see a video of the last meeting that they couldn't make it to? Maybe that's their kid's ball game, maybe they had to work late, there was a reason they couldn't come, but they're disengaged because they can't make a meeting on Thursday night. Maybe they work second or third shift, whatever it is, why can't I go to the website, click on last month's meeting and watch it in the privacy of my home without going to you to get it?
Why can't you request he send you a file?
Because I'm a taxpayer and we're talking about transparency. Why can't it be posted on the website? Are you familiar with YouTube? Anybody?
We don't all traverse the computer. That's one big
No,
thing,
but most
okay?
of us do.
Well, that's fine,
And
that's
he's got an
fine.
IT background.
But this is the soup du jour of the day, transparency. This is all people want to talk about now. It just aggravates the heck out of me that that's all we've got. It's a point, they're working on it.
How
They-
long
You know,
does it take?
you expect it done immediately.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
He has an
He's
IT
working on
background.
it.
Let's see how long it takes to post this video. He's got an IT background.
We're-
We're talking about how he
Hey,
wants to
Eric.
be transparent.
We're live on Facebook right now.
Oh, we're live right now. How long did that take?
Well, I think that's illegal.
It's not illegal, it's an open meeting. So, let's talk about transparency. YouTube, when did that come out, 2098?
And you can do live on there too.
You're welcome,
I'll take it under advisement.
just like everything else.
Any other comments?
Yes, I'd like to especially thank Mark Dezemski for continuing to lower his budget. His office, under Dennis Jagla, has lowered his budget for years. Every year I've been here, I've seen him lower his budget, and Mark has done a phenomenal job lowering his budget, and that all reflects under the township supervisor. So I'm very thankful for Mark doing that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, since we're doing second round of board member comments, I'm fine with finishing it too. Again, back in the transparency issue, I get why you're upset. I understand why I'm upset. It's a simple thing. It's bring it to light. If there's nothing to hide, then what's the big deal about taking 5 minutes a month to drag files to a cloud server, posting a link on a website? And I don't care if you put the videos live on the internet. I got the damn camera back there. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna plug the chip into the computer, I'm gonna upload it. Probably before midnight, it's gonna be available for the public to see. And whether they go and look at it or not, frankly, to me, it's irrelevant. But put it out there. It's not a big deal. We're talking 20, 30 minutes a month. You have to make an adjustment in the way you do things, getting board packs together, do it. Not a big deal. It's really not. Simple.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Want your signature?
Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Just a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Hey, Christ. That's all it is. He said he would work on it.
Yeah, but he said he'd work on it for months.
Thank you.